Friends, we gather together this afternoon to celebrate the life and to honor the memory of Ruth Kraus. Ruth's family so very much appreciates your presence here with them this afternoon, which offers them a great deal of comfort and support. Adonai ma'adam v'teda'ehu ben enosh v'chashvehu. O Lord, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath, our days are as a passing shadow. We come and we go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, in the evening it fades and it withers. You cause it to turn to dust, saying, "Return, you mortal creatures." Would that we were wise, that we understood whither we are going. For when we die, we carry nothing away, our glory does not accompany us. Mark the wholehearted and behold the upright. They shall have peace. The author of the first of the Bible's 150 Psalms describes for us in language that is both poignant and succinct the nature of the good life and the fruits of that life. And I can think of no one to whom the message of this psalm applies better than to our beloved Ruth Kraus. Happy are those who have not followed the counsel of the wicked, nor taken the path of sinners, nor joined the company of the insolent. Rather, the teaching of God is their delight, and they study that teaching day and night. They are like a tree planted beside streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, whose foliage never fades, and whose fruit always flourishes. Let us now take comfort together in the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Ruth, as her family told me the other evening, had a favorite prayer from the prayer book known as the Hashkivenu, which means to cause us to lie down in peace and to awaken to life renewed. I'm going to now read that prayer, most of it in Hebrew and then in English, and then conclude with the final line in English and in Hebrew. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chayim ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha v'taknenu be'etza tova milfanecha, v'hoshienu l'ma'an shemecha, v'hagein ba'adenu, v'haser me'aleinu oyev dever v'cherev v'ra'av v'yagon, v'harchek mimenu avon v'fesha. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, for your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. God, you are gracious and merciful. Guard our going out and our coming into life and peace forevermore. Baruch atah Adonai hopores sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. Praised are you, O Lord our God, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Kohelet, the author of the biblical book of Ecclesiastes, reminds us that for everything there is a season, a time for every experience under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember Ruth Kraus. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember her. In the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember her. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember her. So long as we live, Ruth too shall live, for she is always a part of us as we remember her. Ruth Kraus died this past Sunday evening, July 8th, on her 95th birthday, and precisely 32 years and 6 months after the death of her beloved husband, Herb. Ruth lived a long and an eventful life, and we will miss her. Ruth was born on July 8, 1923, in Coburg, Germany, to her parents, Max and Helen Forsheimer. The first 9 years of her life were lived in relative ease and security. But then in 1933, Adolf Hitler came to power and things began to change dramatically. Children began to harass her and her brother Bob with anti-Semitic taunts on their way to school. And Ruth's parents increasingly recognized, to their gathering horror, that life for Jews in Germany was no longer viable. And so soon after Kristallnacht, in November of 1938, she and Bob were put on a train to Holland, where they resided temporarily in a refugee camp. Eventually, she and Bob and their mother made it to America, where they met up with their father. Cleveland beckoned, and Ruth and Bob, with their parents, continued their lives here. Ruth graduated from John Jay High School with honors, worked for a while in an office, met and married Herb Kraus, and began to have and to raise her 3 children, Renee, Ron, and Jeff. 2 nights ago, when I met with Ruth's children, they told me that their parents had a close and a good marriage, and that their father worshiped their mother and mostly catered to her. Ruth, for her part, involved herself in her community. For many years, she led her temple's blood drive, and she also participated actively in Sha'arei Tikva's sisterhood. In addition, Ruth devoted herself for many years to the serious study of Jewish history and thought, and to mastering the Hebrew language, both endeavors at the Cleveland College of Jewish Studies. When Herb died suddenly on the way home from a business trip, Ruth was understandably thrown into a deep and prolonged depression. But she fought against her lethargy and went on with her life. When in her late 80s she began to decline, she moved to the Judson Manor and lived her final years happily there. These then are the significant facts of Ruth's 9.5 decades of life. But beyond the facts, what kind of person was she? What were her passions? And what were the important components of her character? And why, we must ask, did she make such an indelible impact on all who knew her? In a few minutes, we will hear from each of her three children. But now, at this moment, I want to reflect on my own relationship with Ruth and why she meant and continues to mean so much to me. I met Ruth at the College of Jewish Studies, where she and I studied together for many years. Upon getting to know her, I soon recognized that sitting in front of me was a rare person. I felt her intensity and her integrity. I witnessed her keen intelligence and her restless and probing mind. I sensed her warmth and her great goodness. Later, when I began to teach a regular Shabbat morning Torah study group, Ruth joined in this endeavor as well. Now, Ruth was both a keen student of Torah and a relentless questioner. For her, the study of Torah and the serious issues that it raises and seeks to answer. Why are we here? Who is God? What kind of world do we inhabit? Is there justice? Why do we suffer? These and many other issues were not for her merely academic. They were for her urgent existential questions. Why did God tolerate Hitler? And why did God not stop the Holocaust? Why is there so much suffering in the world? And as she asked these questions over and over again, I felt acutely her perplexity and her pain. To these questions, Ruth had to have answers. She was, and there is no other way to put it, in a rage to understand, to comprehend. And nothing that I or anyone else could say by way of response satisfied her. Nor could they satisfy her, because mere answers do not allay trauma. And intellectual replies, no matter how eloquent, do not mend the wounds that scald us. Ruth and Bob and I met for lunch on a more or less regular basis over the years. And inevitably, our conversations turned to these most important and vexed matters. I tried to offer satisfactory responses to her. Some of them, I thought, were quite wonderful and conclusive, but I never succeeded. Our discussions and her probing continued on. And as I reflect upon my years of relationship with her, I sensed then, and I realize clearly now, that Ruth Kraus embodied two qualities that do not often reside together in one individual. A searing, penetrating, passionate, restless intellect, and a natural, generous, and unshakable kindness. Ruth wanted to connect with two realities that meant the most to her. She wanted to connect with the unvarnished and unalloyed truth, and she wanted to connect with other people. Life had injured her, and she intended never to hide from the implications of those injuries. But at the same time, she was a warm and caring and loving human being whom I deeply admired and whom I deeply loved. I will never forget her. Zichrona livracha. Ruth's memory will always be our blessing. Amen. I now want to call on Ruth's three children. First of all, her daughter, Renee.
My most wonderful mother. For me, the words that best describe Mom are grit and wit. She was a tough cookie and a model of tenacity, feistiness, and resilience, who, when asked to give her one piece of advice for having a good life, answered, "Have fun every day." Some examples of her wit, which she often didn't think were funny, include her comment at the beginning of her 13-year life with dementia. She proclaimed, "I can't remember what I forgot." Upon moving to Judson in year 4 of dementia at 86, Mom remarked on how I arranged her room to look as close as possible to her bedroom in the house she had lived in for 51 years. "Nay, you did everything perfectly, except where's the man in my bed?" Another example from when she was 90, Mom said, "Most people, by the time they reach my age, are dead." Modest to the max, Mom admitted that that one was funny. If we are fortunate, as I was, our mom is our first teacher and model for values to live by. In addition to having fun every day, the value most important for me came from her grit. She promoted seeing the silver lining, the blessing in disguise, even for the most traumatic circumstances. Mom offered that were it not for Hitler and the Holocaust, she would not have come to America. America was her silver lining. For me, Mom's dementia was a silver lining, a blessing, and an opportunity for Mom to continue to teach me about life. I got to know Mom in a different and wonderful way that strengthened our relationship. While I lost some of the Mom I knew, I gained so much more. We had many fabulous laughs and poignantly tender moments. Her dementia made me a better person. A pre-feminist feminist, Mom loved the company of men while fervently believing women were far more evolved. She encouraged me to explore and was confident I could do anything I put my mind to. She believed in me while readily admitting that she might not be so adventuresome or so confident herself. I remember most Dad calling Mom Schatzi, German for darling, and hearing him likening her to a gazelle as a testament to her long, gorgeous legs. A crackerjack bookkeeper, Mom did triple or quadruple entry accounting. If the bank was off by as much as a penny, Mom would go to get the adjustment. She was always right. Mom's loves included making and eating salads. She was happy to be counted on as the salad queen. She loved looking at clouds as she marveled at their shapes. She loved to watch birds fly and alight on water. Mom hummed the music of her favorite composer, Mozart. From the Reader's Digest Word Power article, Mom loved learning new words that sometimes she quizzed me on. Poetry was her muse, and she recited many poems flawlessly from memory, even with her dementia. She loved Israel, the small country she worried about constantly. A terrific athlete and avid swimmer, Mom religiously swam 1 mile 3 days a week. There was ballroom dancing, which even when she was unable to stand unaided, Mom said, "If someone asks me to dance, I will." Mom was a regular at Saturday morning Torah study, where she delighted in asking the most imponderable questions. Some of my favorite memories. Starting in 1977, after Opa died, Mom gave us the priestly benediction to put us at ease. In 1981, while vacationing with my parents and Aunt Bertha, I wanted to go on a helicopter ride to a place one could see only by air. Although she and Dad both were afraid to go, Mom went anyway. In 2000, I gave Mom my old computer. She learned to use it, somewhat frustrating herself, me, and Richard. Late at night, Mom would email, mostly jokes or some bits of advice for daily living. Since late 2006, I started my daily phone call with Mom. "Is this gorgeous?" She said, "Yes, it is." Then I gave her the following blessing. "You are brilliant. You are beautiful. You are brave. You are the best, and I love you very, very, very much." Sometimes I started with "You are beautiful" by mistake, and Mom stopped to correct me, saying that's not how it starts. I then said, "Thank you for being my most wonderful mother," to which Mom said, "I love every single minute of being your mother." Together we ended saying, "We are blessed with each other. Yes, yes, yes." Recently, Mom asked me, "What does love mean?" I told her what Dad told me when I had asked him that question. He said, "I only know how to spell love and that it is what I feel for your mother." I added, "Love is protecting someone physically, emotionally, and spiritually to keep them safe." Mom responded, "That makes sense." Mom was always my protector. Mom was love. Mom imagined heaven as a place where everyone gets along, yet she worried that when she got there, Dad wouldn't recognize her after so many years. When going out, Dad would tell Mom to hurry up when she was getting ready. Mom wondered how come her husband was not telling her to hurry up to join him in heaven. She was comforted when I said, "He's waiting to welcome you and will instantly recognize your soul." And so he has. A perfectionist to the end. Mom, you had the perfect death. You and Dad are now dancing gracefully through the clouds. Mom wrote poems for special occasions and always ended them with, "That's the truth from Ruth." In that spirit, this is my truth about Ruth, an amazing, remarkable woman I called Mom.
Ruth's son, Ron.
My mom. Mom was a values-oriented person. In fact, values permeated her entire life and were a foundation for that life. Mom greatly valued family. Family meant so much to her. We would eat family meals, gather around the primitive TV together, have family excursions to faraway Florida or to close-by Punderson Lake, and we would hear stories about our relatives anywhere from New York City to Switzerland. Until I was 9, we lived above my mother's parents, frequently interacting. After my grandmother died, we regularly gathered at my grandfather's for Shabbat dinner. We also frequently engaged with my aunts and uncles and cousins, doing many things with the Forsheimers, going to the Kraus home furnishing store, and visiting Mother Kraus, my father's mother. We often sat with relatives at synagogue, and we went to see the Columbus clan once a year. And during the last phases of Mom's rich life, people remarked how our family stuck together with my sister, brother, and myself, sharing responsibilities that we took over for Mom when she developed dementia. Mom loved to learn. She was a good learner, starting in Germany and continuing at John Hay High School in Cleveland after she had escaped out of Nazi Germany in 1938. She didn't stop then. She went on to higher learning at Cleveland College of Jewish Studies for over 20 years, even getting several awards and never losing her curiosity, her intellectual acumen, and her desire to figure things out until the ripe old age of 95. Rabbi Klein, who she liked to argue with during Saturday morning Bible studies, said she wanted to understand to the very end. I know when I came home from school as a child, she always wanted to know all about what I learned, which propelled me to a love of learning myself. She was an example. Mom was a walking demonstration of the importance of treating others well. Over and over, she would stress, when I was young, that what was important in life was not how others treated you, but how you treated others. In fact, that was a touchstone to the kind of person you were, how you treated others. And she did not just preach this, she walked her talk. She was always caring and supportive of her husband and of us children. When she lost her husband, Herb, to a heart attack when she was in her 60s, she engaged in a grief group and helped other widows process their grief and return to live. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Which ultimately helped her through her own grief and live again. When she entered the final chapters of her life, she was especially caring of her children in each call and visit. She was loving and showed a caring acceptance until she passed. Having escaped the Holocaust in Nazi Germany, Mom fiercely supported the perpetuation of Judaism. She often would engage us children as well as family and friends and anyone she could grab in conversations on the significance of keeping Judaism going, keeping abreast of current events affecting the Jewish people, and supporting the state of Israel. She gave testimony for the Spielberg Project and would talk to anyone about how we must always remember that this must never happen again. She opposed the oppression of any people, but was tenaciously against what had happened to the Jewish people over the millennia. She studied all things Jewish. For many years at the Cleveland College of Jewish Study, her keen mind grappled with Hebrew, the Bible, and other Jewish texts. Perpetuating her zeal has inspired me to my own expression of Judaism. Mom loved her friends. I can remember so many social events that she and my father engaged in, often with us children in our home. And there were vacations with the Goodhertzes and countless conversations over the phone and in person, supporting the many friends that she cared about. Mom had various interests that were part of what was important to her. She loved classical music, considering it a gift from the heavens. She herself played the harmonica at various occasions, a portable instrument that she took with her from Germany. She was an excellent athlete, liked swimming, was good at ping pong, and in her youth, she beat the boys at her high school in Germany in track and field. She didn't like boasting or being ostentatious or drawing attention to herself. She often said she would have gladly scrubbed floors if needed in gratitude for getting out of Germany. In the last chapters of her life, she showed her humorous and playful side. She would answer the phone, hello, 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 to which I would answer, hello, 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 and then in her sweetness she would say, is that my dear Ron? To which I would respond, yes, it is. Is that my dear Mom? And she would say, yes, it is, and chuckle. And again I would say, I love you a lot, to which she responded, I love you more. This is the time. And now I would add, yes, I think I also love you more.
Ruth's son, Jeff.
I rang that bell because it symbolizes a very special gift that I received from Mom and Dad. And that was the gift of feeling safe. When I was a little boy and got sick, not just a cold, but really sick, like the chicken pox or the flu, Mom would let me stay in our family room. She would turn that old flex steel couch into a bed, and that would be my headquarters. Whenever I needed something, a drink of water, some more Campbell's chicken and stars soup, whatever, all I had to do was ring this bell, and Mom would come right away and take care of my request. That made me feel special. It almost made being sick worth it. But it went beyond that. I felt safe. I knew Mom was taking care of me, and nothing bad could happen. Now, you may be thinking, keeping your child safe is one of the most basic jobs of any parent. And of course, you're right, it is. But I think it was a special challenge for Mom because of what her childhood was like. You've heard this from the rabbi and from Renee and Ron. but it's worth repeating. When Mom was 9, Hitler came to power, and suddenly her world was turned upside down. First, the kids she had known, some of whom were surely her friends, turned on her, calling her a dirty Jew and throwing rocks at her and her brother Bob on their way to and from school. Then those kids' parents started doing the same. Next, Mom couldn't even go to public school, as the Nazis systematically stripped all Jewish citizens of their rights. Then the private school that she was attending in Coburg had to close, and Bob and Mom had to go by themselves to Berlin to attend an American school. And then came Kristallnacht, and finally, it was beyond argument that Jews were no longer safe in Germany. So my grandmother, another woman of great courage, put Mom and Bob on a train headed to Holland. By that time, Mom was 15, still a kid, but already a 6-year veteran of the Nazi nightmare. Getting to Holland was difficult, but Bob and Mom made it. They ended up in a refugee camp, and they didn't know if they would ever see their parents again, or what would become of them. Of course, they were exceedingly fortunate. They were reunited with their parents. They did escape Europe, and they landed in New York only 3 days before World War II started. Can you imagine what your life would be like if this was your childhood? Would you ever feel safe? Would you ever be able to create a loving home for your children? Well, Mom did. She made us feel loved. She made us feel safe, despite the terrible scars of her youth, which never left her. And I think that's a precious gift that only a very brave woman could provide. Mom was brave in other ways, perhaps most dramatically in her approach to death. Mom did not fear death. She knew that it was a natural and inevitable part of life. I think her attitude was captured in something she wrote about Solomon Schechter, the founder of conservative Judaism. Now, before I read this passage, I have to tell you about a Post-it note that Mom put on the cover of the notebook where I found the passage. Here it is. She wrote, "The contents of this notebook are excellent." That's all caps. "Do not get rid of it. Somebody will treasure it. Very well written." Anyway, as for Solomon Schechter, Mom wrote that one Sunday morning his doorbell rang, and Schechter opened it to a young man who declared, "I'm on my way to church and I'm collecting for the Lord." Schechter contributed 50 cents. This episode was repeated until on the third try, Schechter queried, "How old are you?" 19 was the answer, whereupon Schechter said, "I'm 70 years old. I'm going to see the Lord a long time before you will. So do you mind if I present him with my donations directly?" Mom also told me a couple of years ago what she thought heaven would be like. This version is a little different from what she told Renee. She told me that in heaven she could eat whenever she wanted, sleep as much as she wanted, and have as much chocolate as she wanted. I told her that that was what she was doing now. So she had reached heaven on earth. She chuckled at that, but still wanted to experience the real thing. Now she has gotten her wish. Now she is safe forever. There are no Nazis in heaven. No one who can disturb Mom's well-deserved peace. Hopefully she's having a grand old time with Dad, and Opa, and Moo, and Bob, and Peter, and Frank, and Ann. and everyone else she has loved and lost. So I'm going to ring this bell one last time to thank the woman who made a wonderful life for me. Who taught me so much, and who I will love forever. May God bless you, Mom, always.
I think you'll agree with me that the greatest tribute that can be paid to a person is to have her children stand up and reflect upon their beloved parent with such clarity and power and understanding. I know they were blessed to have her as we were blessed to have her as well. O God of life, amid the ceaseless tides of change which sweep away the generations, your love remains to comfort us and to give us hope. Around us are life and death, decay and renewal, the flowing rhythm that all things obey. Our life is a dance to a song that we cannot hear. Its melody courses through us for a little while, then it seems to cease. Whence the melody, and whither does it go? In darkness as in light, we turn to you, the source of life, and the answer to all of life's mysteries. Before we recite together the El Malei Rachamim, I want to recite a prayer familiar to most of you, I'm sure. A prayer that meant the world to Ruth, which she recited to her children over the years, and which they recited to her. This is known as the Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing, whose origin is the 6th chapter of the biblical book of Numbers. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, may the Lord bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha, may the Lord make his countenance to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisad Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom, may God's presence radiate within you always, and may you rest in peace. Amen. Will you please rise now for the El Malei Rachamim? El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hamtzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kadoshim Utahorim Kazohar Harakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat Ruth Bat Menachem HaKohen Udevora, Shahacha La'olama, Bala Rachamim Yastireh B'Seter Kanafav La'olamim, V'yitzror Bitzror HaChayim Et Nishmata, Adonai hu nachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomar amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Ruth Kraus, our loved one who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and may her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us say together, Amen. Will you please be seated? I want to announce that the family of Ruth Kraus will receive friends at the Judson Manor at 1890 East 107th Street, and they will meet in the Logler Lounge. They will receive friends immediately after our interment service and until 8 o'clock this evening. Our service will now continue at graveside at the Zion Memorial Cemetery. Once again, on behalf of the family, we so much appreciate your presence here with us this afternoon. Yeah, go to our